Hello and welcome to UPSCprep.com. I'm Shagun Singh, and as you can tell from the title of this video is going to be about how exactly is it that you prepare for one of the toughest exams on the planet with another tough role, which is a job or let's say a college. So the idea of this video and why we wanted to put this out there is because we have been getting a lot of requests from the students about how do we actually go about preparing, especially if we've not prepared before for UPSC along with a job. Secondly, it is also for students who, let's say, want to get into the job and may have a job post the 2023 prelims, and they also want to understand what would the scheduling look like. What exactly is it that you require mentality wise to actually be able to hold a job, which is a high productivity area in your life, and do UPSC, obviously, which is another high productivity area. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about, first of all, is preparing with a job and college. Is it the right strategy or not? This is something that we will be discussing. We're going to be talking about the why, the how, and the when. How are you supposed to go about this? Why do you even need to do this, right? That is a very good question that people need to ask themselves. And when do you see these outcomes actually turning into fruition? Another thing that I would definitely like to discuss in the ambit of this video is whatever videos I've seen when it comes to preparation with a job, a lot of it happens to talk about, okay, अगर आपको करना है तो आपको करना ही है, आप ही ने चूज किया है, तो आप उसको सीरियसली लो. Just do it just for the sake of doing it. It doesn't really talk about how do you expect a person to learn in a situation where he's already using his brains to get his job done. So we will be touching briefly upon how do you do that? How do you actually optimize, functioning, especially when it comes to a job. With college, it is still, I would say, a little bit more manageable because you're studying there as well. It's not as intense as somebody who is with a job would have to face. The scheduling is not as intense. You can, you can do up and downs with it. You can talk to your college professors and they also understand, okay, you know what, this kid is doing UPSC preparation. Let me also, let's say, reduce the coursework or help him out any way that I can. That is not the case with a job, obviously not. So without waiting any further, I think I've prepared you guys enough as to what to expect in the video. Let's dive straight into it, right? First of all, to do or not to do, that is the question, right? ओरिजिनल कोड ऑब्वियसली टू बी और नॉट टू बी है, पर यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन आ जाता है कि मुझे जॉब के साथ यूपीएससी प्रेपरेशन करनी भी चाहिए कि नहीं. शुड आई जस्ट टेक अ ईयर एंड फोकस ऑन माय प्रेप एंड एक्चुअली गो अबाउट इट. नाउ एक चीज हुई है कि 2023 के पेपर के बाद one clarity that is there is that the unpredictability of the paper is the most predictable part about UPSC, right? So having a job or having a plan A, having an alternative which equally excites you as much as UPSC, I would say would be the right way to go about preparing. Because what this creates is a security, and a security blanket while you are actually entering the prelims hall is very important. It gives you a psychological relief that you don't really realize until you enter the hall and until you see those questions. So I would say, yes, doing UPSC prep with a job is not a bad idea at all. Not at all. So if you're getting straight into it, let's say 2 साल की preparation आपकी already हो चुकी है और आप job करना चाह रहे हो. So I would also recommend and say, and from the trend and from what I've been seeing, a lot of the aspirants who are actually coming out winners, and I wouldn't say winners, securing a rank in the process of UPSC are the ones who are in jobs. In fact, I think rank 5 this year also had a job while he was preparing for UPSC. So the idea is to understand कि job क्या करती है. Job एक level की, let's say, responsibility, maturity और आपके time को blocks में रोक देती है. तो अगर आपको पता है कि मेरे को 3 घंटा तो लगाना ही लगाना है, because उसके बाद मुझे काम है, then obviously what happens is there becomes a sort of a necessity to finish that chunk of the syllabus at that time. So I would say it's a good idea to go about it. And if you're somebody who's also starting now, let's say आपने अभी decide किया है कि मेरे पास job है, पर मैं, I want to move to administration. I want to move into, higher complex job roles, and I feel that job role exists in the government. Then I would say also that's not a bad idea. You can definitely do it with a job too. There are other exams that people do with jobs, including CAT, including GMAT. It's just that you need to understand that अगर आपका GMAT और CAT let's say 1 साल में हो जाता है, UPSC का वही चीज करने में आपको शायद 2 साल लग जाए, especially if you're beginning. Because why? Syllabus ज्यादा है, तो आपको UPSC को थोड़ा practically देखना पड़ेगा. So to do or not to do, I would say do it. And how do you do it? Why do you do it? We're going to talk about it in the next slide. So one concept that I give to everybody who, is entering into the arena of UPSC is the Simon Sinek's idea of why, how, or what, right? This idea basically will give you a broad framework as to, okay, how am I supposed to actually go about this and why am I doing this in the first place? Justin Sung, who's a very celebrated learning and development professional, he's written that burnout occurs when there's a high amount of effort and reliance on motivation to achieve an outcome. Now, it's true, right? अगर आप अपने आप को daily उठोगे और बोलोगे आज UPSC के लिए prepare करना है, आज UPSC के लिए prepare करना है, somewhere you're actually straining your brain to even get out of the bed, which creates, let's say, it creates irritation, it creates नहीं करना मुझे आज, right? So you can't rely on motivation because ये long term game नहीं है. अगर 3 दिन बाद आपका एग्जाम है, तब आप बोल सकते हो बस 3 दिन ही तो बचे हैं, let me motivate myself, let me do this. But we are talking about a long game. And if it's a long game, it cannot be solely relied on motivation alone. It will create burnouts. It will create an unnecessary sense of stress, which you need to avoid. So we're going to go about it in 3 ways. हम why discuss करेंगे, how discuss करेंगे, और what discuss करेंगे. And usually entrepreneurs use this, to whenever they're making a new, let's say, new plan to achieve more sales. Let's say if they're making a new plan to even create, let's say, a product. They use this concept to get the optimum maximum amount of results. And I also view UPSC aspirants as entrepreneurs. Why? Because you have to be self-reliant. Nobody's paying you to do this. You are relying on a very, very crucial, very, close to your heart idea, and you want to do things because of that idea, not because somebody's paying you to do it. So it's a very highly entrepreneurial journey, which is why applying this would make sense. So let's talk about why. Now, journal your why. Why is not just a process or an idea that you reach to in a second, right? अगर आपसे कोई suppose कोई पूछे आपको aspirant नहीं, आपको civil servant क्यों बनना है? So maybe you have an idea at the tip of your tongue. Okay, you know what? Job security, that's why. And you think, okay, this is enough. But it's not. What happens is, अगर आपका why insufficient है, understand this. आपके दिन के 8 घंटे या let's say 6 hours to 8 hours to even 10 hours are going in a job, are going in a college where you are doing work which requires effort. तो उसके बाद effort मारने के बाद आपने जो 8 से 10 घंटा effort डाला है, उसके बाद फिर से effort डालने में ना बहुत strength लगती है, genuinely लगती है. तो इस strength को लाने के लिए आपका why बहुत clear होना चाहिए. And it shouldn't just be for the sake of doing it. Now, how do you reach to this why? We'll talk about this. You can ask yourself these hard-hitting questions, right? Why do I want to be in the civil services in the first place? Is it because do I truly align to the job requirement that exists? Is it for my ego? Is it for societal prestige? Is it for job security? Or is it because I'm dissatisfied with my job? Ask yourself these questions. Ask yourself, will this actually make me happy? Journal करो. आपको यहाँ पे आप किसी से question answer नहीं कर रहे हो. आप अपने आप से ही पूछ रहे हो कि भाई करना क्यों है? ये बहुत ही important होता है पूछना, because if you're getting in it for the wrong reasons, and wrong reasons basically mean you are doing it just because you don't understand there is no other opportunities out there, then I feel a year or let's say 2 years spending on preparing is not worth it. So really sit down with yourself, ritualize it, make it an activity. गाने लगा लो, candles जला लो, sit with yourself and ask yourself these questions and be honest. अपने आप से ही honesty दिखानी है ना, और किसी से honesty दिखानी नहीं है. ये नहीं है कि आपके पेरेंट्स आपसे ये क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हैं, आप अपने आप से ये क्वेश्चंस पूछो. If you reach to the right answer and that answer indicates कि हाँ मुझे ये करना ही है, then move on, then see the rest of this video. Alright? उसके बाद आप ये वीडियो देखो, क्योंकि उसके बाद आपको अगर समझ आ गया कि मुझे ये नहीं करना, then you move on. You don't need to be seeing the rest of this video. But if you feel I want to do this, go ahead. ठीक है? So this is the first activity that you do. Ritualize it, make it exciting. आपको कैफे में जाना है, कैफे में बैठ के करो. You want to do it with a couple of friends together, you do it with a couple of friends. Make it a ritual. Truly ask yourself why you want to do this. Right? अब हमने चलो why understand कर लिया. अब how understand करते हैं. एक चीज बहुत क्लियर है, आप रेगुलर एस्पिरेंट नहीं. अगर आपने लेट्स से 2 साल प्रिपेयर कर लिया है तो आपको पता है ऑलरेडी कि कितना टाइम एक्चुअली लगता है, राइट, टू प्रिपेयर. यू नो, मुझे लक्ष्मीकांत खत्म करने में इतना टाइम लगेगा, और लेट्स से मुझे केस लॉज पढ़ने में इतना टाइम लगेगा, जो भी रेलेवेंट केस लॉज हैं, और लेट्स से मुझे ज्योग्राफी की एनसीईआरटीज खत्म करने में इतना टाइम लगेगा. You know this. But if you're new to the game and you've never prepared for UPSC before, what I would suggest is sit down, read the books and understand कि आपको एक चीज को खत्म करने में actually कितना टाइम लग रहा है. And understand कि आप रेगुलर एस्पिरेंट नहीं हो, आपके पास पूरा दिन नहीं बैठा हुआ है ना. तो आप क्या करोगे, आप ये देखोगे कि मुझे एक रीडिंग में चलो 1 घंटा लग गया या 2 घंटा लग गया टू फिनिश समथिंग, राइट. And obviously your reading speed will increase, but you need to plan it according to your reading speed today and not your reading speed which will be tomorrow. ठीक है, तो आपने ये फाइनलाइज कर लिया, थोड़ा फाइंड आउट किया, उस हिसाब से आप फिर अपने वीकली गोल्स बनाओ कि मेरे को 1 घंटा लगता है एक चीज को फिनिश करने में, तो उस हिसाब से मेरे गोल्स बनेंगे. और उस हिसाब से ये भी देखो कि इफ a regular aspirant will take let's say a year, it may take me 2 years to finish the entirety of the syllabus, and that's okay. You don't have to sit in 2024, especially if your syllabus isn't complete. What's the point? Take your time with it. आप उसी हिसाब से प्लान करो. आप होम मेकर हो, आप कॉलेज में हो, आप लेट्स से फर्स्ट ईयर ही कॉलेज में हो, उसी हिसाब से अपना प्लान करो, उसी हिसाब से देखो, okay, this is the amount of time that it's going to take, and then plan it. अब secondly, if you're doing something else apart from college, right, college और जॉब के अलावा आप यूपीएससी का प्रेप कर रहे हो, तो 5 से 6 घंटे से ज्यादा आप एक दिन में नहीं दे पाओगे unless it's a weekend. वीकेंड में ऑब्वियसली ज्यादा टाइम लगेगा. सो सेम लॉजिक अप्लाई करना है. हमें पता है कि ये चंक ऑफ सिलेबस कंप्लीट करने में हमें ज्यादा टाइम लगेगा, एंड उसी हिसाब से हम अपना प्लान बनाएंगे. हम ये नहीं देखेंगे कि ओके इंटरनेट पे 1 साल का प्लान है, हाउ टू क्रैक सिविल सर्विसेज इन 6 months है, हाउ टू डू दिस इन 4 months है, into 3 months है. हम ये देखेंगे रियलिस्टिकली मुझे एक्चुअली खत्म करने में कितना टाइम लगेगा, तो हम उसी हिसाब से प्लान बनाएंगे, राइट. सो you plan realistic targets and you choose the year to attempt accordingly. Once you're done with this, once you have a clarity, okay, this is the amount of time realistically that it's going to take, you choose your year, you plan your week, you start planning your months, and you do it in accordance to, like I said, how your day looks and what are the requirements of that day. अब 2 तरीके से आप अपना दिन डिवाइड कर सकते हो. या तो आपने टाइम स्लॉट्स बना लिए. Now, I know that jobs don't necessarily look like this anymore, कि 10 बजे से लेके 6 बजे तक आपको ऑफिस में ही रहना है. There are other ways to do jobs. People work from home, people work remotely, people have chosen jobs specifically which would allow them to study as well as do UPSC together. So if you're one of those people, then you choose a time slot. So let's say if you wake up at 7 a.m., right? आप 1 घंटा you take to yourself to actually wake up, wash your face, अपना नहाना धोना जो करना आपने किया. You wake up 7:15 से लेके 10:15 तक आपने अपना पहला स्टडी ब्लॉक बना लिया. देन आपने दूसरा अपना वर्क ब्लॉक बनाया. Then you do a study block again. Then you do a work slot again. So you are actually organizing your time in accordance to where you think you will be the most productive. तो आप let's say आपकी कोई मीटिंग है, 10:45 से 1:15 तक मीटिंग है आपकी. अगर आप उससे पहले पढ़ लेते हो, मीटिंग में आपको extremely focused नहीं रहना है ना. So what happens is here you plan your day in accordance to the schedule that you have from your office, And this is only possible, again, I'm saying, to people who are working from home, to people who are working remotely, and to people who, let's say, are maybe consultants. For them also, this is something that they can definitely do, right? This is one way of organizing your time. And this is specifically good for even college students. Instead of work block की जगह वो लगा दो. यहाँ पे study, यहाँ पे college study block लगा दो, classes block लगा दो. For homemakers, you want to drop your kids, you want to cook food, make blocks like this. And Google Calendar is the most efficient free tool on the internet. It can really, really help you organize your day. You organize your day, you will be able to achieve the goals that you want to. If you don't organize your day, दिन कहाँ खत्म होगा पता नहीं लगेगा, और that will create anxiety. इसी anxiety को हमको avoid करना है. तो एक methodology होगी time slot की. Now, the second is time blocks. Now, this is for people who, let's say, have a more traditional job role, right? They know कि मेरा 8 से लेके 8 in the morning से लेके 6 in the morning in evening तक जाएगा ही जाएगा time and work. I cannot be playing with slots. I will have to create blocks for myself. So people who have this kind of a job role, what they can do is they can choose 2 slots. Either वो morning का slot choose कर सकते हैं, which is 4 बजे उठो, 7 बजे तक पढ़ो, 7 बजे नहाओ धो, commute time पे न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ो आराम से, क्योंकि न्यूज़पेपर रिपीटिंग होता है, हाई कंसंट्रेशन नहीं रिक्वायर्ड होती है उसके लिए. It's more of a passive exercise than like an active exercise. You organize your time like this. Or if you're a night owl, आओ आराम से 8 बजे बैठो, 2 बजे तक पढ़ो, सो जाओ. Do this, right? This is for people who know I will not be able to organize my time in any other way. All right. So blocks work for people जिनको पता है उनका schedule काफी tight रहता है. Slots will work for people who have the flexibility to play with their time. So either of these approaches you can use to organize your time. How do you do this? Google Calendar. Nothing better than Google Calendar to organize your time. Phone है सबके पास, laptops हैं सबके पास. Utilize करो technology को, अपनी life को आसान बनाओ. All right. अब let's talk about investing some time in how to learn. I've seen videos where time slots वगैरह बता देते हैं. They talk about क्या होता है, कब पढ़ना चाहिए, but कैसे पढ़ना चाहिए उसकी बात नहीं होती है. So couple of things that I can say when it comes to an aspirant who's also working. 3 things are very essential for you: your efficiency, your productivity, and your consistency. These things are extremely essential for you, because if you're not able to consistently create productive study schedules or productive study slots, क्या होगा, आप वही चीज बार बार डेली कर रहे होगे, और क्योंकि आप डेली कर रहे हो आपको लगेगा आप कहीं जा ही नहीं रहे हो अपने सिलेबस के साथ. You are stuck at one place. Another thing that you need to avoid. So I will talk about one example. I'll talk about Atomic Habits from James Clear in this video. Baki, we can also get ideas from other authors and other YouTubers who I find really efficient, really good stuff that they put on the internet, including Andrew Huberman and Shagun Singh. These 2 people are people who I also specifically use to increase my productivity and my efficiency. What I would do is I would suggest invest some time in learning how to learn, because if you do that, you'll be able to better organize yourself. The more you organize yourself, the better you will feel in the outputs that you are creating. Process is everything, right? Process आपका सही हो गया तो आपको कोई रोक नहीं सकता है कोई भी skill inculcate करने में, कोई भी नई चीज सीखने में, कोई भी goal efficiently लेने में, right? So I would suggest go through Andrew Huberman. He'll talk about productivity to you in a way that maybe nobody has spoken to you about before. Go through Shagun Singh. He will talk about learning and development tools that you can utilize. कैसे पढ़ना है उसके बारे में बात कर सकते हैं. And I will also in the future, if you guys are up for it, may create a video on these 2 and the learnings that I've taken from them, so that it's helpful for you in the context of UPSC. Now let's talk about Atomic Habits from James Clear. Let me just give an example of what is it that you can actually expect right from here. And Abhishek sir has already created a video on Atomic Habits, which we'll link in the description. But to give an example, he talks about, let's say आपने UPSC अभी से शुरू करना है, अभी से prepare कर रहे हो, right? और शुरू से prepare कर रहे हो, तो आपको habit बनानी है. अब कोई भी नई habit बनाने के लिए सबसे important चीज क्या है सबसे important चीज है showing up. So what he talks about is create a workspace. The first day you decide, I'm going to wake up at 6 o'clock and start studying. What you need to do is not start studying on the first day itself. The first thing that you will do is just wake up at 6 o'clock on that day. Next day, आप 6 o'clock उठोगे, अपने स्टडी टेबल पे आके 2 मिनट बैठोगे. उसके नेक्स्ट डे आप 6 o'clock उठोगे, स्टडी टेबल पे बैठोगे, ये सोचोगे अच्छा मैं कल से क्या कर सकता हूँ. And you do this exercise for let's say 1 or 2 weeks. Okay, what happens is you are introducing yourself to a habit very, very slowly, and you're using atomic steps to reach to it. This allows your brain to accept this habit much easier and much more efficiently as compared to आप बैठ के day 1 ही 4 घंटा पढ़ लेते हो और let's say एक हफ्ते ये कंटिन्यू कर लेते हो, सेकेंड वीक आई बेट यू आप नहीं करोगे. जितना आप अपने हैबिट्स को इजियर बनाओगे टू अंडरस्टैंड, जितना आप अपने हैबिट्स को कोरिलेट करोगे विद अदर हैबिट्स यू ऑलरेडी हैव इन योर लाइफ, you will be able to keep those habits for a longer run. So these are some of the ideas that you definitely need as an aspirant to, increase your productivity, to be more efficient, to get the goals, and to become the person that you want to become. Lastly, gamify your preparation. Now, this is something that we actually do already with our consistency challenges on Telegram, right? हम Telegram पे आते हैं and we create a gamified environment for you. What is gamification? Gamification is basically आपका एक लार्ज गोल है, उसको आपने शॉर्ट टर्म गोल्स पे डिवाइड किया है और उस शॉर्ट टर्म गोल्स को आप रिवॉर्ड सिस्टम के साथ क्रिएट कर रहे हो. सो लेट्स से टुडे योर गोल वाज टू जस्ट रीड 10 pages. That's it. Then you put a reward for that. As soon as you set a reward for that, let's say 10 pages पढ़ने के बाद आप अपने आप को ये भी बोल देते हो, good job on reading those 10 pages. What does it create? An affirmative environment. What classes did you actually like to go to? You like to go to classes जहाँ पे आपकी टीचर आपको appreciate कर रही थी for your efforts, ना? ये नहीं कि खाली results में जो आ रहा था उसमें appreciation हो रही है. Every day, if you are getting some positive experience out of that class, your learning outcomes would increase. And हमारी सबसे बड़ी, I feel like with Indian students, the biggest problem is we do not appreciate ourselves for our efforts. Because of this, it just becomes a very tiring process to reach to the goal. आपने अगर 10 pages पढ़ा है, उससे पहले आपने कभी भी 10 pages नहीं पढ़ा होगा एक गो में. तो जितने आप छोटे छोटे गोल्स कर रहे हो उसको आप रिवॉर्ड करना शुरू करोगे, उतने ही पॉजिटिव एक्सपीरियंसेस बनते जाएंगे और उतने ही आप अपने आप में ट्रस्ट बिल्ड करना शुरू कर दोगे. So consistency works like this, right? You consistently track your goals, and then after a month or after a week, you look back and you analyze. जैसे appraisals होते हैं आपके, right, of your work in jobs. You hold yourself accountable to your own goals, and once you have these little stacks of positive experiences with you, what will happen is that will really motivate you. This is where motivation will come in to do even better next week, right? That's the idea of gamification. You reward yourself, you set a rewarding system. Plus, there are so many apps out there that can create such a wonderful environment for you. For example, Habitica, what it does, it creates like a virtual environment for you to track your goals. It's like a virtual gaming experience almost. कि आपने goals रख दिया तो आपको reward points मिलेंगे. आपने goals नहीं किया तो आपको punishment points मिलेंगे. There's a complete social media also involved in where people actually encourage you. So you can research on websites like this and see what makes sense to you. Correct? Let's move on. Also, when it comes to productivity and efficiency, ChatGPT exists now, and ChatGPT can act literally like your tutor. So what I've done here, you can see I've written explain inflation to me like you would to a 10th grader with examples in short, right? Because inflation is a complex topic. I had to see, let's say, 10 videos to understand actually my inflation kya hai. But with ChatGPT, what happens is, वो आपका foundational learning बहुत strong कर देगा. So use it as a tutor to understand these concepts because ChatGPT will break it down for you. Don't try and make ChatGPT solve prelims questions. Complex जो problems हैं, complex जो concepts हैं, वो ChatGPT से समझो, right? वो समझोगे तो क्या होगा? आपका जो learning time है, वो थोड़ा सा रिड्यूस होगा एक चीज को समझने में। जो चीज हमें लेट्स से 10 यूट्यूब वीडियोस देख के समझ आती थी, वही चीज आपको एक करेक्ट प्रॉम्प्ट डाल के चैट जीपीटी समझा देगा, which saves your time. And with limited amount of time, this is extremely necessary. Let's move on. Now, let's come to the what aspect of it. And we've reached to the end of the video, right? This is where you take a breath and you think about the process. Now, I very deeply spoke to you about हर एक गोल के लिए आपको एक रिवॉर्ड सिस्टम रखना है. अब reward system can also work on, let's say, the inculcation of skills. If you keep thinking about एक साल बाद मुझे यूपीएससी क्रैक करना है, that's my reward, your daily practices will become extremely difficult, right? आपको daily अपने आप को motivate करना पड़ेगा, which is insufficient. But let's say आपने अपने months ऐसे divide कर लिए कि in July, all I want to do is I want to be able to really read complex text faster, right? That's the skill I want to work on, and that's how I will approach my syllabus. क्या होगा इससे? Every month you'll be inculcating a new skill, you'll be working on that new skill, and because of this new skill, the way you learn will get better. The more exciting, the more interesting you make your learning experience, your outcomes will become that much better, right? And that's what we want to do, especially because we have limited amount of time. तो जो हमारी थकान होगी, हम ये चाहते हैं कि यूपीएससी प्रिपरेशन में वो थकान जाए, राइट? आई वांट टू गेट इनटू द मोड ऑफ डीप लर्निंग, पर डीप लर्निंग में घुसने के लिए कुछ फाउंडेशंस मेरे को भी बनाने पड़ेंगे ना. थोड़ा एक्साइटेड मुझे अपने दिमाग को करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि कहाँ मैं I could have chosen this time to possibly be out with my friends. I could have done that. To counter that thought process, you have to make the idea of learning very interesting. So divide your UPSC preparation in a way कि अगर मेरे पास 2 साल है और मुझे 2 साल में ये skills टक these skills I want to get from this UPSC prep, which is a very holistic way to look at UPSC preparation. Your interest in actually doing this will get much better, and your why will become one factor, just one factor. All of these processes that you're doing will help you reach to that why. That's what we want to do. So that's what you do with what. The end goal is obviously a rank in 100, but it takes time to reach there. And that's why you should look at UPSC, like I said, as a skill inculcation process. All right. So this was my 2 cents on how do you actually go about preparing for UPSC with a job. We didn't give you a sample plan because we genuinely think there are different jobs that exist. हमने आपको 2 sample ideas दे दी हैं जिससे आप अपना plan बना सकते हो. So really go for it and create it. Plus, we also think there is a sample plan that already exists, but because you have to make modifications of it on your own, you choose what works for you. And if you choose what works for you, it will be ownership and you will actually end up doing it. That's the idea. Secondly, we're also planning to make certain videos for people who want to work in the industry now that Prelims 2023 is up. And I wanted to understand if these videos are something that you guys are looking for. For example, the next video I was thinking could be about how to showcase your UPSC experience in your CV. So we'll be coming up with videos like this. I just want to understand how eager is the audience to receive ideas when it comes to videos like this. So comment down below about what kind of other videos that you want to see. If you want to see how do you actually express your UP experience in your CV, that will be the next video. But do comment below so that I can understand kahan pe aapka interest hai, right? So thank you. I hope this video was beneficial for you. You were able to learn as much as you could from it. And I'll see you in the next one. Looking forward to your comments. Thank you, guys.